Thank you, Anne, for this introduction. I would like to talk with you about a special phenomenon, the storage exhibition. According to a leading Dutch newspaper, more than 90% of the country's artworks public collection is kept in storage. The museum storage is a place where visitors are normally not allowed. This fuels the imagination. What kind of artworks are kept there, and why are they not visible to the public? Are there indeed hidden treasures to be found in storage, or is it just junk which could best be thrown away? Museums are nowadays under a lot of pressure to open up their depots. This can be done in various ways, by giving limited access to groups or on special occasions, or by building a new storage facility which functions as a museum at the same time as the Boijmans van Beuningen Museum is doing now, and we've heard all about it this morning. An alternative route, followed by an increasing number of museums, is to stage a temporary exhibition featuring objects selected from storage. And I would like to present to you a few examples, recent examples, all from Dutch museums, but of course the same kind of exhibitions are held in other countries as well. Some years ago, the Museum Gouda moved almost their entire storage collection to the museum rooms. This display actually functions as an exhibition and storage at the same time. Artworks are removed and rehung under the watchful eyes of the visitors. The Kröller-Müller Museum in Otterlo organized a series of exhibitions consisting of artworks chosen by the public from a larger selection on the museum's website and exhibited with the personal comments of some of the respondents. Another formula, which has become rather popular, is to invite national celebrities to pick their favorites from storage and present them in a personal way, as was done by a successful Dutch television program with their pop-up museum. Perhaps less sexy is to have the museum curators themselves select the artworks. Nevertheless, that's the way we did it at the Mauritshuis with our exhibition In and Out of Storage, which took place in the spring of 2016. It was a deliberate choice because we wanted to explain to the visitors what kind of decisions a curator has to make. As you can see in the slides of the installation of the exhibition, we intended it to be a real exhibition with a reference to the storage itself, but not an imitation of it. Some paintings were hung closely together on picture racks, but others were given ample space in order to receive more attention. Before I proceed, first a little bit more about the volume of the Mauritshuis collection, which is rather small compared to other museums and mainly consists of paintings. Of the 850 objects in our collection, 250 are always on view in the Mauritshuis, another 150 in our annex, the Prince William V Gallery, also in The Hague. About 150 objects are on permanent loan to other museums, leaving about 300 pieces in storage. This is a little bit more than 1/3 of the entire collection and therefore much less than the average number of 90% quoted for the Dutch museums in general. In the exhibition, we focused on 3 questions which we often get from our visitors. What kind of artworks are kept in storage? How did they get there? And why are they not on view? And we selected about 50 paintings which could help us to answer these questions, and we divided them into groups according to the reasons why these works are not on permanent display. Some of these reasons may seem quite obvious, but it enabled us to give more insight into the reasoning of the curator, who has to decide which painting goes on show and which remains in storage. This painting speaks for itself. It was found on the attic of the museum in the 19th century. No one knows how it got there and who has painted it, and every curator has works like this in his or her collection. And for those among you who might think Is it really that bad? Here is a detail to convince you. In comparison, this painting by the German artist Friedrich Bury is of a very high quality. However, it's an example of early 19th century classicism, and therefore it does not fit in the Mauritshuis collection, which is mainly focused on Netherlandish painting from the 15th until the 18th century. How did it end up in the Mauritshuis? We can still read that on the label on the frame. It was a gift from the wife of King William I, and the artist Bury had been her drawing and painting teacher. She liked his work very much, and she gave this painting to the museum. And in the early 19th century, paintings by contemporary artists were indeed displayed in the Mauritshuis alongside with old masters. Most of these modern masters were later transferred to other museums, but this one stayed behind, most likely because it was a royal gift. This magnificent hunting still life by Jan Weenix was purchased in 1821 as a pendant to the famous bull by Paulus Potter. At that time, paintings in a museum were hung very close together, but these days we prefer a more spacious hanging, and now there is no room anymore for this huge painting. Fortunately, as a result of the storage exhibition, we were able to arrange that the painting could be given in permanent loan to the Rijksmuseum Twente in Enschede, where it's now on display in combination with an installation by a modern artist. Sometimes we simply have too many paintings by one artist, as is the case with the highly productive Jan van Gooyen. Only one of all our Van Gooyen paintings is included in the permanent collection. In the exhibition, we showed 5 paintings by Van Gooyen, including the one in the permanent collection. We asked the visitors to pick their favorite and then revealed which one was the choice of the curator and also explained the reasoning behind it. An important issue in the preparation of the exhibition was whether artworks from storage should undergo restoration before being put on display, or whether they should be exhibited quite deliberately in their present state, even if they are in poor condition. And we decided to do both. This portrait by Karel Slabbaert once hung in a government building in the former Netherlands Indies, present-day Indonesia. And the impact of the tropical climate is clearly visible. Because the painting is considered not important enough for a time-consuming restoration, we have decided only to conserve it, at least for the time being. On the other hand, this Merry Company in a Park by Esaias van de Velde is one of the earliest examples of an outdoor garden party in Dutch painting, and therefore of great art historical importance. Because of the yellowed layer of varnish, messy retouches and later overpaintings, it remained in storage for the last decades. After treatment in our conservation studio, the painting turned out to be far more beautiful than we had ever imagined, and now we are thinking of including it in the permanent collection. There were also other surprises. For instance, I selected this particular painting for the exhibition as a clear example of not good enough. It was acquired in 1821 by King William I as work by Raphael, but soon afterwards this attribution proved to be far too optimistic, and it remained in storage ever since. However, shortly before the exhibition, this painting was technically examined, and it turned out to be a very special painting. The X-radiograph shows, and I will point it out to you, these kind of markings. We already knew that the painting was made on leather, but these markings indicated that it was gold leather, and further research indeed proved that it was painted on gold leather. And that's very special. It's probably a fragment from a larger wall covering made in Italy in the early 16th century. From documents, it's known that a lot of interiors in those days were covered with paintings on a gold leather. None of it was thought to have survived until we found this. And a specialist in gold leather were very enthusiastic about it, and so it's not a real Raphael, but a very special artwork indeed, and our conservators have lovingly baptized her the Leather Lady. So this was really a surprise for us, and also it proved that you never know enough of your collection. You keep on finding more and more new things. And in the end, with some pressure from our marketing department, we also invited the public to choose their favorite from storage, and we displayed it in the exhibition. If you're thinking of making a storage exhibition, I can very much advise you to do so. It's great fun. You learn more about your collection, and the public loves it. Here are a few tips. Choose an original line of approach. Make something special of it. Not just hang the paintings side by side. Explain your choices to the public. Open up the kitchen, like David said this morning, because the public wants to know why you are not showing these paintings, usually to the public. Reflect on your own collection, on its history, the ideas behind it, but also the future. Think about the future and take the opportunity to reevaluate what you have in store and see what you can do with these artworks, not only in the exhibition itself, but also afterwards. Thank you very much.